Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to today's session. I hope you're all fine. So we are going to continue from where we left off. Apologies, we could not do this stream yesterday. I had a technical issue. However, today I'm glad that I am here. I hope you guys were able to join us on Saturday for the STEM Fest Africa. For those who are not able to join us, be on the lookout. We have several events that are coming up. If you'd want us to communicate those events with you, there is a link in the chat section called resources. Just go ahead and click on it and leave your email so that we make sure that we update you anytime we have an event. So that's what happened between Saturday and Monday. However, I am glad to be here to finalize on this to-do app. So we are building our to-do app with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And what that means is we will first create the structure of our to-do app using HTML. We will style it using CSS, and we will add functionality to it using JavaScript. And last time we did a lot. So today we really have very little to do. And I hope once we finalize the next thing, I'm very happy to show you how to do is to deploy the project so that you can share it with your friends and your family and they can see what you are able to build. So I am just going to start by, I just wanted to start by a clean page so that I show you how I get to open up the project and start it over. So let me just go ahead and do that. So I'm just opening up my browser. Okay. So I am on my browser. So remember, a browser is a tool that allows us to be able to look for information online. So currently I want to open up my IDE. An IDE means Integrated Development Environment in full. And this is the environment that we use to write our code. So remember, an environment is important, just like if I was to tell you to cook something for me, you would actually go to the kitchen because that is the appropriate environment for you to prepare something to eat. So the same thing, we need an appropriate environment that allows us to be able to write our code and to see the result of whatever we have written. So this is the browser, and I am going to go ahead and look for that environment. So the environment we are going to use is Visual Studio Code. So this is how it looks like. So it is a software, and a software is a tool that we can be able to use on our laptops or on our devices to accomplish specific tasks. So like a calculator, an online calculator or a calculator on your phone, that's an example of a software. YouTube is an example of a software. The browser Chrome, because for example, I'm using an example of a browser known as Google Chrome. That's an example of a software because they allow us to be able to accomplish different things. So that's exactly what I want to do. So here we do have Visual Studio. You can go ahead and download. It will give you the appropriate version immediately. So for me, it is giving me .deb and .rpm because it is detecting that I am using a Linux operating system. An operating system basically is a software that allows us to be able to interact with our computer, to be able to perform various tasks on our computer in an easier way, by communicating what we need back to the computer and what we, in a way that the computer understands, and it communicates to us in a way that we understand. So it has detected that I'm using a Linux operating system. If you're using Windows, you will see download for Windows. If you're using Mac, it will automatically detect that. So you don't need to download it if you do not want to go through that process. It gives us an easier way that we can be able to get to our Visual Studio. So they have a browser option, which is this, which is what we have been using. And this makes it easier. You don't have to have Visual Studio installed, but just by using this, you're able to open up your project. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the folder where we have our to-do. And to do that, I just click on open folder. So I had stored my to-do inside the desktop. So I'll go to-do list and click open. Let's say view files. So automatically I do that. I am able to see that there are files which are now here. And if I click on my index.html, I see some of the files that we created. If I click on my script.js, I also see some of the JavaScript that we wrote. And if I click on my style.css, I see some of the styling that we wrote. So the next thing I'm going to do, I am just going to open up this project so we can see how it looks like so far. So to do that, I will come back to my files. Oops, yes, that's going to, yes. I'll come back to my files, to the desktop and open up my to-do list, and I'll go to my index.html, right click on it, and for me it will give you an option of open with Google Chrome, which is what I want. So when I do that, I am able to see what we did. Last time we were able to add the functionality such that when I click on a list item, it automatically shows that it's already done. And if I want, I can click here on the delete and it will disappear. So that is what you are able to do. And if I click again on it, it unchecks the task. So today's goal is to add a place where we can type in the new task, and the new task will show itself here on the list item. And we can be able to, I think with that now we'll be done with the project. Maybe the last thing I'll do is just streamline some of the styling to make it look better. So that is what we want to do. So let me just show you the final look of the project as well, so you can have an idea of what I mean. It's taking a minute, but it will load up. Okay, so this is how we want it to be, such that if we add something and we click add, we see whatever we have added, the new list item up here, and we can be able to check it out once we are done, or in case we have clicked it by mistake, it actually corrects itself and we can delete if we want. So that is the end goal of whatever we want to do. So let me just do a small recap of what we did. We came to our index.html and we added some code into it. So we added the title. The title allows us to be able to navigate from one tab to another and guide us where we are. So we can see here at the top, it is written to-do list. I can't zoom out at the top for you to see, but there it is. After that, I connected my HTML to my CSS using the link tag, where href, I store the file of the CSS. Rel just shows the relationship between the two files, the HTML and the CSS, that this is a style sheet, and that the type of text they will find is CSS. After that, we go on to the body, and inside the body, we add the title, my to-do list, and I enclose it inside a container. This div tag you're seeing here creates a container. And last time I told you, relate the container to like how you normally have different containers in the kitchen, where you store different things. So that is the same thing here. And the H2 allows us to add that header. And that is what we are seeing here. After that, we went ahead and added an ordered list. So I showed you last time the difference between an ordered list and an unordered list. So here, when you have an unordered list, you add the word UL, and then inside it, you add the list items, this LI and so forth. So the class done allows us to be able to click on the link and add that cross. So that is the styling we added. So we say anytime I click on this, I want to be able to automatically add the class done. So after that, we connected our JavaScript to our HTML using the script tag, where we said src is equal to script.js, and that is what we were able to accomplish. So when I come to my JavaScript, which had we did a lot here in JavaScript. We introduced several new concepts. The first one is how to access an element in the JavaScript side from the HTML side. So we say let list be equals to document.query selector UL. What this does, it will be able to show me all this, any element on the HTML that has a tag li, which means list, we will be able to see it. And then we say, let us add an event listener. An event listener is like, it's a code that is waiting on something to happen so that it executes. So for example, whenever we have a power button, be it on our phone, or on our laptop, and what happens is that there is a code that is just waiting for us to click that power button, either to turn on the computer or to turn it off. So there is an event listener in that power button that is listening. When you click, when you long press, I will power on your laptop or I will turn it off. So that is what it does. Teacher, was there class yesterday? No, there wasn't. I did not have lights last minute. However, today we are back. So here we add an event listener click where we say the target is any element that has a tag of li. So what we are saying is, we are adding an event listener to any HTML element that has the target li. And then we say what we want is put a class done anytime we click. And here in our CSS, any element that has a class done, let me just remove this. So what you're saying is any element that has a class done, so you're saying UL, so any elements inside the unordered list where the list item has a class done, and you can even see it shows you what do you want it to do. You want it to change the background color and to add a text decoration line through, such that when we click, it changes the background color and it adds that line through. So that is what we are doing. So and that is what we did here. So that this is what allows us to have that event listener added on every list item. The next thing is I wanted to make sure that in all those list items, we automatically also add this X, and because we are not adding it on the HTML side, we add it on the JavaScript side, because For every item we are going to create, we want that to be added. So we say for every list, so get all the list items. So that is create a variable known as list items, where you say document.get elements by tag name li, and then console.log those list items. This will just show you all these list items that are here. The first one is go live on YouTube and go to the mall. And then we come and say we create a for loop. A for loop gives us an opportunity to be able to go through each element one after the other. And I related it to using how normally in school the teacher calls a register. So the same thing. This is the code that will allow us to, in a way, call a register to all our items, like one after the other. Yeah, somebody's calling me. If you just call me, there's no problem. Just go ahead and type the question and I will answer. So we go for let I to be equals to 0. So we are saying the first element should be 0, position 0. So it's like the teacher, when they start marking their register, the first students, they put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is what is happening. And then we say let I should be less than the list of items dot length. What is here is happening is, for example, if you're 20 students, and the first student is given position 0, the last student will be given position 19. So what will happen is that is less than the 20 of you, but in real sense, it's just that I have started counting from 0. If I start counting 20 people from 0, the last person will be position 19. So, and then that now adds by 1. So we are saying start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so like that. Yeah, so the next one is let's span. So here we create an element known as span, and then we say we add this part adds this X that you're seeing here. So, and then we say also give it a class name called delete, and inside the span append an icon called delete icon. So, and then for every list item, append the span class. So inside this span, we have created the delete icon. And then now we have said inside each list item, append means attach. Attach the span class, which inside of it, there is the delete icon. So after that, we now add the delete to do this functionality. So the first part we have just added, but we have not added the functionality for deleting. To be able to add that interactivity where if I click on it, I actually delete, we now look at this button where we say let delete to do, to be get each class name, any element to the class name delete. So remember here, we created a span class, and inside of it, we created a delete icon that has the delete class. So now we say get any element that has the delete and iterate through those elements, and in each element add an on click. So remember I said using the for loop is just going through after one after the other. Add an on click, and then in each of those span, let the style to be, the display style to be none. So last time I showed you the different types of display styles in CSS and what each means. When somebody says an element has a display of none, it's automatically hidden. And I told you guys, even when you are on social media, when you click delete on something, you normally don't delete it. Basically, you hide it from seeing it, but you have not deleted it. So anything you have ever posted on social media will always be there. It's only that when you delete it, you're just hiding it. And that's it. So somebody's asking me, do we have exams in December? We do not have exams, but we have a competition that will run from, it will run from 16th to 20th And we'll just do a competition where you guys will win some prizes for those who are able to complete the competition successfully. Yeah, so that is when we will do it. So this YouTube live is just to give you an opportunity to do well in these competitions. Yeah. So let us go ahead and now add the code for the input, where when we add a new list items, it actually shows itself in our list. So I'll come here. So we are going to create a function. So a function is a piece of code that allows us to be able to execute a particular result. For example, right now we can we can say that for those of you who maybe have birthdays this month in December, you can hold a birthday function. The specific reason of that function is to celebrate your birthday. I don't expect, and even you wouldn't expect, if we say that there is a function and it is your birthday function, for you to go there and find it's a wedding. You expect, if it's a function, for it to be specific and for it to be unique to you. So here we are going to come in and say function. So we are going to add, I will communicate with you guys the prizes. So let's just focus and then I'll communicate. Don't worry, I'll give you all the information. Okay, so we say new, I'll call it new item. You can say new to-do item, one word. So remember, when you are, maybe just let me repeat, when you are creating a function name, so for example, when you're creating a function, there are three ways you can create a function. We have what we call the arrow function. We have used it several times. We have the function declaration and we have the function expression. What you're seeing here is the function declaration method, where you come ahead and write the word function and you write the name of the function. When you're writing the name of the function, it also has several rules you have to keep in mind. First, it is not advisable for it to have any spaces. If you need to have like different words like I do, you can either write them like I have. We call this camel case, where we capitalize the first words. The other thing, you can put an underscore. You're allowed to put an underscore in all of them, or in between. You can put numbers in between. However, you're not advised to put things like as a percentage, a dash, a dollar sign, a hashtag. Those are not things which you are allowed to do. So it is advisable, it is preferable that the function name should start with a small letter. In all, you can start with a capital, but it is advisable, preferable, you start with a small letter. And then after writing now the function name, you put this curved brackets or parentheses, and then inside the curly brackets is where you will write what you want your function to do. So here I'll say now I want to come ahead and create a new list item. So I'll say let list, I can say list item. So the first one was list items. This got all, so we can say new list item to be is equals to, so we'll say documents dot create element. So we can create an element called a list with a list tag. And then we say let. So now is the input that we want to happen. So maybe before we get that input, I'll have to go back to my HTML and actually add that element for capturing my input. So I can add it here inside the header. However, let me just add it below it. So I can come and say div. I'll say input type text. And then I say ID. I'll give it, I can call it ToDo input. And then placeholder. All right, new ToDo. Maybe we can say add new ToDo item. And then here, so if we look at it up to that point before I move on, you can see it has added a new place where we can type our stuff. We will style it to make it look better. So I need to add a button here for now adding the item. So I can put this button inside a span, and I say I can call this, I can give it a class, add, it's preferable to start with small letters, add ToDo button. So I can say add, so even I can capture this. It's okay, and put it here. So oops, I just need whatever is in here. I think my mouse is tapping out. Yep. So now if I come here and I refresh, this is what I have. I have a button that now somebody can be able to click on and be able to add. So of course now somebody cannot click anything. We can style this to make it look a little bit better. So let me give this div a class and say the class is ToDo input. Okay, so whenever you want your users to be able to, let me just put this. This is ID, this is class. Let those not, or let me put ToDo. So ToDo div, you can write ToDo div. So this is the div class and this is the input. So let me first start by styling the div class. So I'll come here and go to the bottom and I say dot ToDo div. Let me give it a display of flex. So remember we said flex is a flexible container, and then I'll say justify content to be center, and we can also align it items to be in the middle or center actually. So justify content centers everything to the middle of the page horizontally. If me refresh. Oh wait, it has not picked it up. Did I write the wrong? To do div, or it has a small d. To do, this is small, but this is capital. This is why also naming is important. So you can see, so when I say justify content center, I am saying align it to the center horizontally. When I say justify content, I mean align item center, I'm saying on that container, align the items to be on the center vertically. Now that becomes vertically. So we can add some height here. No, but let us leave it like, okay, yeah, we can add some height and maybe say for it to be, we can even say 40px. Let us refresh. So it has added, okay, we can add it a little bit more. We can say, or we can even say 100px, not 1000, 100. Yeah, that's not so bad. And then the next thing would be now to add at least the height of this input and of this add to do. So I'll come here. So my to do div, the input is in here. It also has an ID. I can use that, or I can just come to my CSS and say, first go to the to do div, and then inside of it you will find an input tag. That is what I want to style. And then I say I will add first of all the height of this input. Maybe I can be like, let it be, so the to do, the container itself is 100px, so maybe this one we can give it 50px. So it will look like that. We can add the width also a little bit. We can say the width to be somewhere like 250px. Let us see how that will look like. Okay, that's not so bad. I can come in here and also give it like a background color so that it stops looking so different from what we have. Let us try that. We see how that will look like. No, that's not it. Let us try this one. The 666 would have looked better. Okay, that's not so bad. We can see it has added a border. Maybe we can say border. Oh, we can also add a border radius. So border radius will allow us to have some curves on the corners here rather than it being very sharp. We can add some curves. Okay, those curves are too little. Let's do 2%. Okay, 2%, I know it's a lot, but let us see. Is it that this is too small? Yeah, so it has added some curves, still too little. We change that to 20. Okay, that's not so bad, but it's too much. 15. It's too curved. You see here, I feel like it's too curved, but that's why CSS is a matter of preference. What you prefer is what you have. So let us change this border color. So we say border color to be, I think I'll give it this original to be a little bit brighter. Yeah, we can leave it at that. And then we can say the border style. Border style to be solid. Yeah, so that all of it is continuous like that. So the next thing now is styling the add new to do item. So I can come here. So that is inside, it is still inside my to do div. It has a class add to do button. So I can just pick the class. So there it is. So I can now give it some. The first thing I would want to do is I would want to put some space between these two. So I can say margin. We can just specify only the margin of one side. So we can say margin left to be 4px. Let's refresh that. Okay, it has moved a little bit. So let us increase that up to like 20px. That's a big jump, but let us see. Okay, that's not so bad. Let us add a button so that it actually looks like a button. So I can come here and I can say background color. So I think we can give it this color that I was currently opposing, and also give it the same height and width as the input so that it just looks good. Width was 250px. We'll see if, especially the height is the one that is most important, but we'll see if the width fits. The width we can edit a little bit, but the height, at least they should be the same height. Okay, if I come here and I refresh this, yeah, so it looks like that. At least they're the same width. Let us give it a border radius. So I'll come and say border radius. We can give it the same border radius of, I think it was 15px, the same one that we have, and change the color of our text because we can't see the color now. So to change that color, we can come here and say color. So remember, to change color, you say COLOR. We can just give it one of the shades of black. Let us refresh now. So that is how it looks like. So we can, the width is too much, so we can reduce the width. We don't need to have such a big width. Maybe try 150. Yeah, that's not so badly off. So we can align now the text to the center. So we can come here and say, first we can say text align center. So if we look at it, so you can see now it's aligned to the center horizontally. So now we need to align it to the center vertically. However, remember, this is inside a container already called my to-do div. So I can come here inside my to-do div here, where we had the to-do div. Here, so we had align items and all that. So I can come here and I say justify items. So inside the items, can they be at the center? Let us see how that will look like. Oh, nothing has changed. Oh, since it's a span class, I can give it a display of flex. I can come here and I say that button, I can say display to be flex. and then I say align items to be center. Let us look at it. If I refresh, yes, so now it's at the center, but it's now moved back to the corner. So I can come here and I say justify content to be center. The moment I say the display is flex, this text align is no longer going to be, it's going to be overridden. So that is why I have to come again and say justify items so that it aligns at the center as we want it to do. Okay, so we can say maybe when somebody hovers, it changes the background color. So we can come back here and we say that dot add button on hover, the background color to change maybe to a particular gray. So if we, and even the text, maybe the text now can change also to some shade of white. So we can go back to this. So we can say, okay, if you move your mouse over it, we want it to change color. So if I move, you can see if I move my mouse over, it changes color to, whenever I hover, it changes color to different text, and even the color changes color accordingly. So now we can also do the same for this. When we hover or when you focus, it changes the background color. So we can come here and say dot to do div input on focus, the background color to change to this, yeah, to this white here, and the color of the text to change to black. I can put a shade of black. So let us see what happens when we focus our mouse into it. So if I click in here, you can see now it changes color and I'm able to type accordingly. So is there anything else I'd want to change? Yeah, I think I'd want to see if I can be able to maybe increase the font of this text. So I can come in here and I say the font size to be equals to, maybe we can say 14px. So if we come here and we refresh, you see if now we type, it's a little, I think it's a little bit bigger. Or it's still the same size. Let me try and increase that to 20px. Yeah, that's a good size. So we can leave it at that. So yeah, we have it. So maybe the other thing we can do is we can change maybe the text align. We can say it to be center, not end, but center. If I refresh now, so at least this is now also at the center. And when you type, your user is typing from the center. So what we want now is when we click this button, when I have typed something and I click this button, we want it to actually add the item. So I'll go back now, that is interactivity, and that can only be added using JavaScript. So I'll go back to my JavaScript and I will say try and get any element. So here it will be new text. So we call it new text, whatever the user types. We say new text is equals to documents. So whenever we write documents, we are trying to get something from the HTML. So document dot. So I will come here to my style, to my HTML. Let me remove the style.css from there. I'll come here to my HTML and pick this element that has the ID to do input. So actually, maybe rather than calling this new text, I can call it new input. Get element by ID. So the element that I am getting by ID is that to do input, and I capture the value. So I capture the value. So I capture whatever the user types. So, and we can test this. We can console log to see if actually we are capturing it. We can console log new input. So what happens is I will come here and I will click, first of all, let me inspect. So I'll go to the console. Remember we have said console.log. So whenever we click on it and we submit it, cannot set properties for undefined setting, line 23. There is an error on line 23. Where's my line 23? Now that has been resolved. Okay, let me just type something and submit here. Line 23. What is the error on line 23? This one, I think this one has an error. The one for deleting. Okay, I don't know why it's detecting an error there. I do not see any problem. I'll try and figure out that later. I'll have to now then ignore that and try and capture. So actually I think I'll remove this black background. I just maintain the white background. It's looking a little bit better. Yeah, that looks a little bit better than having, yeah. Okay, so I'll go back to my JavaScript. So here, this will just capture the value anytime we click on it. So let me make sure, did I capture to do input? Yes, that is okay. So I'll proceed. So I'll now say, let us create a text. So we can write text input. And you say documents. So this is to prevent somebody from submitting an empty list items. So I'll say document.get element by, so I write get element, and sorry, create a text node. So this is a text that will show whenever somebody has not written anything. So we want it to show, so you can say that let text node. You can store in here the new inputs. And we go ahead and say append the text into the list item. So where we have new list item, and say dot append. So append just means adding it into brackets text node. So I mean text inputs, and then we'll say if input. So now that new input, if the new input is empty, so when you want to say it's empty, so it should be 3, you put an empty quotation brackets, an empty quotation, and then we say into brackets, you say alert. Let us alert our users, say you must add a new to-do item. Okay, and then we say else. What do we want it to do? If there is actually something written, what do we want it to do? We want to go to the document dot get element by ID. And what do we want it to do in there? We want it to go and get the element that has the list item. So we'll come here. So here inside UL, we'll give it the unordered list. We'll give it an ID. So HTML uses a lot of class names, but JavaScript uses a lot of IDs. So I'll say ID. So I'll say new ID. We can give, maybe we can say list. We just give it the name list. So we come here, we say capture the element that has the ID list. Okay. And then when you're in there, what do we want it to do? We want it to add that value. So we say capture the element that has the ID and append. So append child, append the element new list item. So inside the ID, now add the new list item. Okay, so after that, now outside that, we'll now come ahead and say documents. So we capture again the element. In case it doesn't have anything, we just say document.get element by ID. So we capture the to-do input dot value is equals to 0. So this is just, it's empty. So this is just to tell the browser, hey, Let us create a new list item. So we create a new list item using the item li. So this is because all the elements in the list have a tag li. So we need that to be reflected, and then create a new input and say dot get element by ID to do input value. So what this will do is it will create inside here, whatever we type inside our to do here will be stored inside the new input. So, and then we say create a new text input that you append that value that the user types here. And if that value is empty and somebody has clicked add to new to do, we want them to tell them you must add a new to do item. Else, just append the value inside this list. Add it now here at the bottom. So that is what we are doing. So up to that point, we are not yet done. So we need to make sure that as we add the new item, it also comes with these buttons added. So we'll come here and we'll say the span is equals to documents dot create elements create element. So we say create a span element. So this is literally whatever novar should be using let. So this is the code that we have here. In fact, if we want, we can just go ahead and copy it as is. This code here, it is this. So we can copy the rest just for appending and all that. We don't need to keep rewriting. So this is the code where we add this X. So I'll just come here, scroll down and add it. Like that. So with that now, I will now iterate through those values. So when somebody clicks delete, what do you want to happen? And that code is this one here. So I'll just copy it. And then I will come and put it in here at the bottom. Because we need to make sure if you click on it, actually something happens. So let us see if this will actually work. So I have refreshed. So let me add deploy to do app. Wait, it seems like there's an error. Let me inspect and see where we have an error. Okay, it's this error again. Cannot set property undefined setting on click. Line 23 again. I don't know why this thing is giving me an error. I don't think we had it last time. I think if not, I'll have to add an event listener. Okay, let me just add an event listener to it so that it's easier rather than having to use the on click like that. I think like that it is giving it an error. Okay, so I'll come here and click here and say add event listener into brackets click oops, this should be on the inside, comma, function into brackets E. So for checking if you have added an event, so let me remove this code here. We won't need it. So we say what is the error here? Oh, this should be a comma, not a full stop. Okay, perfect. So the only thing I need to close here is this. So function E, this. So rather than using this, we can say, wait, what was written there? Yeah, then we can come here and just say E dot span parent style. Let me see if that will work. It will still work as expected. If I refresh, cannot read. Still the same error. So it's the problem is here. The problem was not the event listener. Just return it as it was. Try to figure out why I have an error there. So we have for let I. Oh, I've seen this should be I is less than to do delete to do dot length. That should now resolve it. Yep, it has. So that was the problem. That I and less than. Also, let me try and add something. Or we used to write go and deploy the app. Okay, let me see. It looks like there's another error. Oh, this does not capture anything. Oh, sorry. When I click here, nothing happens. Let me go and figure out what I forgot to add. Yeah, I forgot to add the event listener on it. So let me go down. So, oh, I added it on the HTML side. So I'll come here on the HTML and call this function new to do item. This is what I forgot to do. Just copy it, go to my HTML here inside the add button and say on click I'll add that function like that. So that should work. So remember, you can add an event listener on the JavaScript side or on the HTML side, as long as it is pointing to a particular function. So I'll say deploy app, and now voila, it is added. So the only thing it has not added is my X. Let me go and see why. Let me first. Oh, it is that error that I had at the top. I did not correct it at the bottom. I is not defined line 48. So if I go to line 48 on my JavaScript, the error is here. Here. Wait. I copy pasted something, but I did not. Oh yeah. This should be list, not this should be list dot. So in this new list that I have created, this list, where is that list? Should be this new list item, append the span with the delete in the new list item. Let me remove this word list. New list item, append span, and then here should be I should be less than the delete to do. So if I refresh that now, if I refresh it removes that. So let me just write deploy app. Yeah, I know it adds with even the X, and if I click on it, it deletes and so forth. So I can add several things on it, deploy app. Oh, let us see if I try and submit an empty, it tells me you must add a new to-do item. So that is the code that we have here. You must add a new to-do item. So it gives me an alert. If I want to do this, I go ahead and type new item and I can click on it and it will add on it. So if I click X, it adds on it. So that is how we do the to-do. So we have completed our to-do app. I think the only thing I want to do is to show you how to deploy this project. And deploying is making such that you can just share with somebody the link and they can be able to use it. So you'll come here to Netlify. So Netlify is one of the platforms you can use to deploy your project. So I can sign up. I'll click sign up. So let me just share the link with you guys so that you guys can also use it. So I'll come here and just say sign up via email. I can put in an email. Let me just choose. Then I'll just use the password they recommend. I don't want to start thinking of passwords. So let me just go to my email and check if they have sent me something. So this, I have used just another email account that I use for my online stuff. Okay, just taking a minute, but it will load. I can't see the link that they have sent. I've checked on my phone. Let me see if I'll find another link. Let me try. But they're not sending me the link. Okay, let me try and sign up once more. I'm trying to see if they have. So we are trying to deploy the application we have just created and see how it's going to look like, such that you can be able to send somebody a link to your application. So I'm just trying to log in on Netlify. It's in spam. Yeah, there is nothing that. It's not this one. Oh, this was one other. I was actually looking for this yesterday. Uh-huh. Okay, I have no idea why it is not reflecting the email that they have supposedly sent, because I don't think it's an internet problem from my end. Let me try one last time. And just use the same password. So if no, they don't send, I think we will just try and do this next time. I really wanted to show you guys how to do this. Confirm if it is in spam. I mean. Okay, it's not there. Okay, for some reason I cannot get it. So what we will do is, I think I'll just try and show it to you next time. But in the meantime, if you on your side you can be able to log in on Netlify, just can having have logged in. So, but we have been able to successfully finalize on our to-do item. We can be able to add an item, we can be able to check it out. Once we have finished it, we can be able to delete it as well. So that is some good progress. So I think we can stop this video here. So tomorrow we will be starting a new project, still on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let us please go ahead and build this project also on your end. Try and give them maybe different colors, different font sizes, different background colors. Play with colors and see how you can add them. I'm really looking forward to us deploying our applications and even sharing links with each other so that everyone can see what we have done. So I think I have come to the end of our session for today, and I'm looking forward to starting a new project with you tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Bye bye.